During the process of communication, many of us presume that talking or speaking is the most vital element. Some of us realize the importance of listening. However, in addition to speaking and listening, there is one more dimension which can play a vital role in the communication process. And this dimension is that of silence. Yes, silence can play an important and significant role in your overall communication strategy. When I'm referring to silence, it is not awkward silence that I'm referring to, rather, silence which is utilized in a very strategic way to enable you to get the benefit in terms of the overall communication process. Because no communication can happen without whatever you're communicating, the statements or points, not being assimilated or imbibed well by the listener or the group of listeners. In case that happens, then the communication cannot be effective. During the process of communication, many of us have this thought that we need to dominate the discussion. We need to speak as much as possible. However, again, that's not something that we need to do. As important as is speaking, listening, as well as incorporating silence can play a vital role. When I refer to silence, what is going to be important is understanding the three key reasons why it can be incorporated or it needs to be incorporated within the communication approach. The first reason is many individuals have this particular thought that they need to speak, and many of these individuals also cut statements or points when someone is speaking or communicating. That is extremely disrespectful. What we need to understand in the process of communication, we need to hear and understand the person on the other side. And that's where silence can play a vital role. When you are remaining silent, when the person on the other side is speaking, it enables you to give that person an opportunity to speak freely and communicate all of her or his points. And that's going to be extremely vital. The second point is silence also enables both you as well as the person on the other side to calibrate his or her thoughts effectively. It can also be a catalyst in terms of valid points or important points being discussed. Because many a times, which I'm sure you would have also realized, during one-sided information or one-sided discussions, there is only one party or one person communicating all the points. And the person on the other side, unfortunately, doesn't have the time or possibly is not given enough in terms of the space to communicate his or her points effectively. So silence plays a vital role in terms of giving each person ample freedom and time to speak. The third reason is that of respect and empathy. When there is a silence, and the silence which is thought out silence or a pause in the communication process, you're also positioning yourself as a person who respects the person on the other side. And that's going to be vital. Because unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, most people just want to speak and they end up being disrespectful, or the person on the other side who's listening doesn't feel he or she is being respected within the communication process. So for you to position yourself as someone who respects the other, or possibly also have the element of empathy being demonstrated, it's going to be vital for you to exercise silence during your communication process. Now, when it comes to silence, what you need to understand that it needs to be well thought out and incorporated in a very systematic and strategic manner. And that definitely happens with practice. So once you realize that you can incorporate silence or include silence as a part of our approach, you would have this element of self-monitoring where you would try to analyze your own discussions, your own conversations, and over a period of time, through self-analysis and monitoring your discussions, as well as understanding where you need to improve, you would possibly learn through practice as to how silence can be effectively incorporated. In fact, as a part of my communication strategy, considering that I've had a lifelong problem pertaining to listening and I'm still work in progress, I'm trying to overcome this challenge and I feel I'm getting better in certain instances. So, what I do is when someone is speaking, I try to be as silent and listen to the person on the other side. As I was trying to practice, get better, and have self analysis done, I realized many a times I presumed that the person on the other side has completed the conversation or completed what he or she needs to communicate, and that somewhere used to lead to me having this element or this process of cutting someone short when he or she is communicating. And that's when I started incorporating an approach where if someone has completed a paragraph or a certain part of his or her communication or speech, I do ask this question: do you have anything else to add? Or is there any other point you want to mention? So many times the person would have not completed the statements, and when I ask this question, the person continues. And even after that communication, I still ask, is there anything else to add? And when I do that, I position my willingness to listen and understand and also provide the person the opportunity and freedom to communicate whatever he or she wants. And it also gives me enough time to calibrate as to what I need to respond back. And that's going to be very vital in terms of communication. So, when it comes to communication, with all the various elements which are extremely important, the constituent of silence is also vital. In case you utilize it in the right manner, you definitely would be respected and shall position yourself as an effective communicator where people would definitely appreciate that you are not only being empathetic, however, at the same time, giving the person on the other side, the listener or the group of listeners, an opportunity to speak his, her, or their minds. And that's going to be extremely vital in being an effective communicator and guiding an efficient communication process. Thank you very much for your time.